Hey everyone, we are live on Professor and Friends. Welcome to the show. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on a early Tuesday night. We're glad that you're here. I have with me some very good friends of mine, Joe and Misty from The Day We Make. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
You betcha. Glad that y'all are here. We met, has it been a couple months now? We did the crawfish boil at ARTEMIS, and y'all just happened to be passing through on your way to Florida.
Yeah.
Had a great time and actually got to camp together and spend some time around the fire, getting to know each other, and super cool time. Really enjoyed that. Let me tell you, this week has been a rough week for me. I don't know about y'all, but I don't know if you've ever had 6-foot pieces of plastic shoved up your nose, but that's the way I've been this past week, and it's just been murder. Probably the most miserable time that I can ever remember in my life. Now, my memory's not very good, but times like that you remember.
Yeah.
You remember times like that. And the doctor said, "Oh, we'll just go in there and I'll cut out this part of your nose and I'll put this plastic in there and sew it up. It'll be no big deal." Well, it's no big deal if it's not happening to you. So it's been a rough 7 days. Now, yesterday I got all that mess taken out, and life is good. I can breathe. I can taste better, smell better, and life is good. And I'm just real excited to be here, back to normal. Still coming down off those narcotics. Man, let me tell you, I don't know why people get on those things. Because they make me feel horrible. Mess my stomach up. My guts are all knotted up. And my head's all cloudy. Just don't know what's going on. But, it's been rough. But we're back to normal. Now, Joe and Misty, where are y'all joining us from right now?
We're in Idaho right now.
In Idaho. All right. Now, you have, like I said, when we met a couple months ago, y'all were on your way to Florida. You spent some time down there, camped at one of the most beautiful campgrounds I've ever seen in my life down on the Keys. I even asked you where it was because I had to take my wife. I just got to take my wife there. It's just unbelievable. How was your time down in the Keys? That's a place that not many overlanders go. What was it like camping down there?
Well, we were both actually stationed there before, so we were familiar with the lower Keys, and we used to go and eat at Geiger Key Marina. That's the place where we camped a lot when we were stationed there. So, I mean, we've been going there almost 20 years. So that was the first time we tent camped there, and it actually really wasn't bad at all. The weather was really good the whole time we were there. I think we had one small day of rain, but it was interesting being there with a bunch of RVs in a regular campground.
Yeah.
The looks that we got and people coming over and asking us questions and wanting to see the rig set up. And
everybody was definitely interested in our setup, and you had $500,000 rig sitting there, and
I know exactly how you feel. Last year when we were traveling in Colorado, I made my way to Denver to go pick my wife up, and we were coming back down, and I was making posts every day, and my old baseball coach from high school, Coach Looters, his wife saw where we were, and they were in, I can't remember where it was. But anyway, she said, "You're only like 20 minutes from us. Why don't you come up and have dinner with us?" And I was like, okay. So we packed up one evening and went up and pulled into this campground where they were. And like you said, it was like $1 million Provost buses, one after another. And people were just looking at us when we went down through there like, what is this thing? And I told Connie, I said, I don't know if they're going to let us in here or not. And we parked and got out. And, man, it was just like, I felt so out of place. I mean, I tell you, I felt so out of place. And we parked and had dinner, and the lot right beside them had a for sale sign on it. And I said, these places are for sale? He said, yeah, you buy these places. This one right here is like $175,000. And it was a camp spot. I mean, it's like a 20 by 30 camp spot for 170. Are you kidding me? You're buying a piece of grass, you know? I just felt out of place. So I know what you're talking about there. That's pretty neat. Go ahead.
The Keys is interesting. You know, it's an interesting place. It's, you know, everybody's from all over, and it's got that tropical island feel, but you're still in the United States. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. And being on the water and having the breeze and get some good sights of the stars, and with the tent and everything, rooftop tent. So, yeah. And, you know, of course, everybody's curiosity gets to them, and they come over and they start talking to us and learning about the rig and what we do, and they love it. And, you know, we hung out with the neighbors and went out on the boat with them, and we had dinner together. And so it's like a conversation piece and an icebreaker kind of thing. And
that's cool.
So it was really enjoyable. It's tough to find places to get to down there overlanding, but in the southeast.
They don't allow overnight camping there, you know, for good reason, but it's very difficult. You pretty much have to stay in the campground. And we would normally stay like on the Navy base, or even the Coast Guard station in Marathon has a couple of RV sites. At the time, the Navy base RV park was still closed due to COVID. And then the Coast Guard one is getting completely remodeled, and they're putting up barracks and everything else there, and more sites. Yeah. So we kind of had to go commercial, so to speak.
I understand. Well, I really want to get into an introduction of you and your little bit of history about yourself, and tell us about how you all got started in this. But first, let's pause for station identification.
Hey everyone, it's Adam. It's Step 22 Gear.
Yeah, I got it. All right, you ready?
Hey guys, this is Frankie from Overland Rentals.
Hi, I'm Jeremiah from Overland Pioneer.
This is Aaron from ARTEMIS.
I'm Tyler with Yoda Adventure.
Hi, we're Jessica and Jorge, Librick Wonder.
Hey, this is Aaron from ARTEMIS Overland Hardware.
This is Jeff with Bad Act Adventure Co.
I'm Aaron with Switchback Outdoor Safety.
It's Chris from More EXPO.
And you are watching Brofessor.
Brofessor and Friends.
Professor and Friends.
Professor and Friends.
Professor and Friends.
Oh, I enjoy doing that. I love going around and having people do those. It's real fun, and always a great addition to my show. So let's talk about, how did all this start? I know, tell us about the beginning of how y'all got together, how long you've been together, and what you've been doing over the past couple of years, how all this started.
Well, the story about us getting together is kind of funny. We actually have known each other since we were kids. We were born on the same day in the same hospital in Miami, Florida, about 8 or 9 hours apart.
Wow. And
our parents were all friends in high school and everything. Our mothers have the same first name. And this one talked to me into joining the Coast Guard. So we were both in the Coast Guard. We had a lot of, there's a lot of very unique things about how we got together and everything. And that's the biggest thing, is we were born in the same hospital on the same day. A lot of that blows a lot of people's minds when we tell them that.
Especially customs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they're holding our passports up,
Same last name, same birthday. Something's fishy about this.
Yeah. They're like, you guys are making this too easy. But we retired from the Coast Guard in 2017, and we were kind of trying to figure things out because it's a big transition from doing something that you've done for so long and trying to figure out where you want to go and what you want to do. And we didn't really want to get back into doing what we had been doing. We kind of wanted to take a different track in life and do something different after having done it for so long, and wanted to do something that gave us more time for experience and family. So she approached me with the idea of selling our 2 homes and most of our stuff and then start RVing full time, which, is totally contrary to what most people do.
Right.
And I thought it was insane, of course. And over about, I'd say, a year, kind of tinkered with it from time to time and thought about all the logistics and how it would work and how we would do this. And, I got to the point where I was like, well, I think we could do it. It sounds like it'd be fun. And so that's what we did, is started off RVing. And we did that for about 3 years. And it was good for time. And then it got to be where, an RV park was an RV park, and you're limited to where you can go and what you could do, because a lot of the state parks and different places, their facilities were built when RVs were much smaller.
Yeah.
Right.
And they don't accommodate a lot of the newer rigs. So we were running into that problem a lot. Plus, it became very popular and was difficult to get places. And so we were looking for new adventure and some new challenges. And, we watching YouTube and different things, came across overlanding, and thought that'd be presented some new challenges and some new experiences. So it's kind of where we're at.
That's cool. So you started out in the RV world. That's pretty common. A lot of people do that, who like to travel and start out in the RV world and realize, well, we've got this RV. There's a lot of places we can't get to that we would like to stay. A lot of different, very scenic places that we won't be able to camp at if we have this gigantic Land Rover motorhome that we have to get into different places. And if you have that sense of adventure, which I know you do because you do a lot of backpacking, and so it takes you to those places where you can't normally get to. So it's a whole different world. Hey, Kara, how are you? Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being here. She's my neighbor right down the street. And they have a YouTube channel, Ozark Overland Adventures. Check it out. That's a super cool story about knowing each other for so long, being born on the same day in the same hospital. Your parents hung out. Man, that's crazy. So
that's a lot.
Y'all have been together a while. And you travel full time. You have tell us about the rigs that you travel in.
I have an 80 series Land Cruiser, which we haven't completed the build on that yet. We're going to be actually putting on the rooftop tent and the roof rack in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I have an ARB fridge in there so far, and that's about it. We're just basically using that for our storage horse for the time being, but
right.
Very capable vehicle. It's funny because there's a lot of times I'll be following him in his Jeep, and he'll look back to see if I'm going to make whatever obstacle he's going over, and I've always made it. So he's like, "Oh, okay,
that's impressive."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And then
that's cool.
And then we have the Jeep Wrangler, which is pretty much outfitted, and we've added some things here and there. And ARTEMIS has helped us out with some of that. And so we're pretty self-reliant and self-sufficient. Have ability to make water and carry quite a bit of provisions now that we've added the Land Cruiser. So it's great to be able to get out in the backcountry, get the solitude, like you said, the views, and you're just not in like a parking lot kind of thing, or and that was the other thing about the RVing was the RV parks are nice and all these things, but at the end of the day, it kind of feels like a neighborhood sometimes too. So you're kind of not really getting anywhere.
Yeah, you're right. You also travel with a trailer.
Yep, we do at times. Mm-hmm.
Picked up that Sunray, and that's been great. That was a great addition for us before we got the Land Cruiser again, because you know, you have
a nice
5
transition too.
Yeah, and you know, with 5 people, like most of the guys I've come across, you know, they're single or have girlfriends or wives, and so we had a kind of a different situation because we had kids, and so that really ate up a lot of the places you would normally put things, and plus you have to carry gear for 5, provisions for 5, you know, all these kind of things, and because we don't have a home to go back to and change seasons for clothing and gear and things, so you kind of have to carry everything you're going to need, because, you know, as you're traveling around, you may go from, you know, very different environments, from hot to cold and altitude, and so you kind of got to have everything on hand.
That's true. That's true. So, so let's take a look at your family here. We want to tell us a little bit about your family dynamic that you have going on here.
So all 3 of the kids were born in Jacksonville, Florida, and Josh and Melanie are the oldest. They're twins, and then our youngest is Madeline, and she's 10 now.
And the twins are 12. Yeah.
And the twins are 12. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're all, you know, they're at a really fun age because they're interested in exploring, and they have a lot of questions, and they're actually retaining and remembering the places that we go and see, and you know, that leads to a lot of really cool discussions. But they're also at the age now where they're getting into that preteen, you know, talking back and, you know, kind of testing their boundaries, and you know, now they get a little smelly, and you got to remind them about hygiene and that kind of fun stuff.
The emotions.
And the emotions, the hormones and the emotions. Yes.
Yeah. We talked about a little bit about that before the show. With my full-time job, that's the age of kids that I work with every day. And so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I deal with it, but they're not my kids. So that's best for me. But y'all have to live with it every day. And when I met you, y'all didn't have the Land Cruiser with you, and y'all were all in the Jeep. And so being cram-packed in there with all your stuff, I know that had to be an obstacle for especially almost teenager. Or is she a teenager now? 13?
Well, they're 12. Yeah, her
12.
Okay. 12. So, yeah.
for them to come over, for them to overcome, has got to be in their mind something that they have to deal with every day, because, you know, like we talked about earlier, they're dealing with where are my friends? The only time I see my friends is on social media. I don't have any friends. Could be dealing with a little bit of depression, things like this. So what is it, as far as your children goes, what is your biggest obstacle that you have to overcome with him?
I think with each child it's different. I think with our older daughter, it's the friend thing, and you know, she gets lonely at times. But you know, we also, the great thing about being able to travel full time is she has friends throughout the United States from when we were in the Coast Guard. So we can go different places and see different friends from time to time. And then, you know, we have some friends still that are full-time RVers, and our paths cross a lot. And she has, you know, friends among those families. And, you know, we ended up breaking down and getting her a tablet so that she can talk to friends, you know, on her different preteen social media accounts and all that. So she's able to chat with them, and you know, they send each other silly pictures, and she's a very, very good artist, and so she draws a lot of pictures and shares them with her friends and does a lot of animation. And then our son, he actually, I really think that this has been really good for him. He's on the autism spectrum, and he, you know, in the past he had to have everything very, very structured. And he has really learned to go with the flow a lot. And I just think that he's blossomed since we took him out of public school and started doing this, because
he had to have a lot of therapy.
Yeah, he had a lot of therapy
to learn how
before.
to be sociable, you know, to interact with people and speak to people. And so in a way, this lifestyle is really, the great thing about it is they're all very sociable. we everywhere we go, anywhere that there's kids, they're super excited. I think they actually scare some of the kids sometimes because they're so like it's like they go up to these kids like they've known them their whole life, and the other kids are kind of like, they don't know what to do, but in a way it makes them more sociable because they have to make friends wherever they go versus always being around the same people.
Right.
And so I think in a way it's kind of making them, and then overcoming all the daily things, like you said, the challenges that you brought up, it kind of teaches them life skills and coping mechanisms that a lot of kids or people don't necessarily have to come into contact with necessarily in the frequency that they do.
Do you run into other families that have kids and maybe try to get them hooked up, get them some social interaction with people that are camped around you sometimes?
Yeah, we've like she said, we keep in contact with some people. So we reconnect in different places as our paths cross, or we coordinate it. Also, when we were in tent sleep, one of the owners of where we were staying, his house was on the property, and he had a pond, and very welcoming and open to us. And our kids played with his kids. Our dog played with his dog. Josh was catching crawfish in the pond, and so it kind of just naturally happens a lot for us, where we make friends pretty much wherever we go, and people just take us in that way. So they do sleepovers and different things. So they kind of do a lot of what every kid does, and then some. Really,
that's cool. Well, Kara, who her and her husband are considering doing the full-time thing, and I knew she would have some questions. Because that's how you learn, is from others. So she has a couple questions that she wants to throw out there. Do you have a storage unit for memorabilia?
Yes.
Do you collect things as you go?
We do.
Oh yeah.
We try to limit it because we're trying to do more of a minimalistic lifestyle, but we do have, we both, have 20 years of awards and memorabilia, our shadow boxes from the Coast Guard, when we retired, and we have family mementos and things that were passed down from other family members, things that are irreplaceable. And so, of course, we didn't get rid of those things. We got a storage unit and put those things in there and insured it well and made sure, we check on it from time to time. So,
and as we acquire things, some of the things that, it's like kind of one of those things, if you get something, you have to get rid of something.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of what we do.
That's what we do a lot with the kids. If because my younger daughter is very much into reading. So our deal is, if you get a new book, you have to donate the other book to another kiddo, or put it in one of those, how they have those little libraries throughout towns and RV parks, the little book share things.
Right.
So we do a lot of book donations, to those.
Book exchanges, yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Do you, now I've tried to, I have been a collector in my years past. I've collected vintage coffee makers and cast iron and all this other stuff. And I've told my wife, I said, we're going to have to quit that. We're going to quit it. So is there anything that you collect along the way, the national parks, different things, pins, patches, is to commemorate the places where you've been?
Yeah. So we do, I have one of those national passport books that I got back when I was in high school. Mm-hmm. So, matter of fact, we were just in Mount Rushmore not that long ago, and the last time I had been there was in 1996. I still have that same book. So I got the new stamp from when we were there.
That's cool.
They each have their own stamp book where we do that. Mm-hmm. We do collect patches, the different patches from the different places. And then Josh is usually very interested into rocks and geology and different things. So he has quite a little assortment of those kind of things. From
the places we're allowed to collect them.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Some places you can and some you can't, but yeah.
So what about a place? Do you have a place where you can get mail, or have? How do you get packages sent to you? Order from Amazon, or how does all that work?
My mother is my mail service. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, we have a mail service.
Yeah, we also have another mail service.
But then we also have stuff shipped. So when we do get hotel rooms and storage, we have stuff sent there when we're at the hotels. We'll kind of coordinate it where it shows up when we're there.
That we're actually waiting for a new solar panel to arrive at this hotel tomorrow before we leave.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool. So y'all plan ahead. The hotels are really they're okay to work with you on having stuff shipped there to you for that. They're always good with that.
Yep. Never had an issue.
Yeah, never had an issue with that.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's good to give them a heads up though, but
yeah, you don't want them to give your stuff away. That's for sure. Yeah. Well, what about? Do you feel disconnected from having in-depth, close relationships?
So that's a conversation that comes up a lot. Like we were talking with Melanie, our oldest daughter, and I don't know how it is for other folks, but at least for myself and Misty, we've talked about this, where we think about from high school, look back from high school, how many people from high school do you still actually know or associate with? And, I'm sure there's people that do. I mean, and there's also people that never leave where they're from, so I could see where that would be something for some, but for us, it's not really an issue. We keep in contact with the friends we have, and we go see them. Like we go back to Florida a lot and see family and friends there and from where we grew up. And so it's not really like you never speak to them or never see them again kind of a deal. It's just more or less you maybe not seeing them as frequently as you normally would, but it's not like you're leaving Earth,
Well, right. I think that both of us being active duty in the military, for 20 years,
I was thinking that too.
You're used to that nomadic life. I think that kind of actually is what spoiled us and made us want to still continue to live that lifestyle is, every few years you get stationed in a new unit and you have to meet new people there and make new friends and build those relationships. And I can honestly say that most of the closest friends that I still have are people that I was stationed with in the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
So, and whenever we're in an area, we make it a point to try to go see those people and spend time with them. And, I went to the same elementary, middle school, and high school in the same small town. And there's probably 2 or 3 friends that from that, growing up that I grew up with that I still speak to. And there's nothing, wrong with those relationships. But that's one of the things I try to teach my children is it doesn't necessarily matter how long you're around someone or how long you know someone. It matters if you have a good connection and you can maintain that relationship,
Right. And that's, I go over that a lot with them too, where it's the distinction between associates and friends.
Yeah.
I've heard the saying, maybe you guys have heard it, where if you can count your friends on one hand, you're lucky.
Yeah.
So it's
that's true.
Having, and that's kind of changed with the whole social media thing too, where everybody, how many people you have on there is all of your friends, right?
Yeah.
So,
I was talking about that. I was talking about that with Aaron from ARTEMIS today. Just because you're friends with them on Facebook doesn't mean you're friends.
Right.
I've got 3,000 something friends on Facebook. I probably know maybe 200 of them. I've probably met maybe 300 of them. But social media has been amazing in that aspect is, we can, you and I, y'all and I have met, we've camped, but we didn't get to spend a whole lot of time together, but we talk often. I send you messages all the time and we talk often. And that way we can keep in touch and I can see where you're going and I can see what you're doing. You can see what I'm doing. We can keep up with each other. 15 years ago, it wasn't that way.
And
we had no idea.
That kind of touches on the question. That's kind of what I was getting at is, we're not planted necessarily in one spot, like most people are. But with technology and social media and with being able to travel and go back, we can maintain those connections. And if you're friends, it really shouldn't be an issue anyways, right?
Right.
So, time and distance is one of them things that I don't think if you're really friends, breaks down your friendship necessarily.
Yeah, I agree.
Great questions.
Yeah, that's great questions, and I know it's something that y'all have to deal with. You're totally the opposite of me and my history. My dad has taught at the college in my hometown since 1976. So I was 5 when we moved here. I graduated from here. I've worked here, still work here, work for my alma mater. So 45 of my 50 years has been in this one town. And, I haven't, we moved around a lot, but we've moved around a lot in one spot,
Right.
It hasn't been from town to town to town. It's just been from house to house to house. We were poor and we had to move from rent house to rent house to rent house. But that was, with you having the military background that you have and moving around, it just seems like this lifestyle comes normal.
Yeah.
It fits right into how you were molded, and it really probably doesn't feel any different than what it did then.
It definitely helped with that transition because, like she said, you're used to moving around every 3 to 4 years. Plus, in between those years, you're doing deployments. So, there was a year or two when I was gone 280 days out of the year. So even though I was stationed or lived in, let's say, Galveston, I was only there maybe 2 months, 3 months. So out of that year. So I wasn't even there for very long when I was there. And so, it definitely helps with that transition because I get the question all the time, or, people will say, oh, man, I wish I could do that, or I wish I could do what you guys do. And, I told them it kind of, the way it was with us, it's the same, where you're going to have the 2 hardest things you're going to do are, the first thing is to decide you're going to do it. That's the first hardest decision you're ever going to make. Because, again, it's so different than anything you've ever been taught to do or you've seen done, right? Yeah. Because most people just live how most people live, And the second hardest decision you're going to have is, like you kind of touched on it, is your stuff. Because we're all kind of conditioned that the more stuff we have, it's kind of a measurement of our success, right? In a way. Yeah. Houses and things and, your status, and you have a lot invested in those things because you've worked for them your whole life. You've acquired these things and, you have a lot of personal stuff invested in them, your time and energy and, sacrifice to get money, to acquire these things. And so that's going to be the second hardest thing is, just kind of learning that you don't necessarily need them if you don't want them. If you want them, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not that there's one that's better than the other. It's just what's right for you, and it's hard to get rid of stuff, it was hard for me because, like I said, you get attached to things and you can't bring it with you.
You're right. I'm the same way. Coffee tastes so much better out of my coffee cup, and if you drink out of something else, it doesn't taste as good. And if it's the same way with a lot of things. Life is just not the same without it. But it depends on what do you want to do. Do you want to live this lifestyle where you are minimalist and you're able to travel, or do you want to hire a moving van to meet you wherever you go to unload all your stuff every time you stop? I mean, you can't have you can't have both worlds. So I know there's a lot of compromises that you have to make when you decide to do this. Kara wants to know what happens when you want a kid-free night. No,
I'm just kidding.
Does that ever happen?
No, it does actually. I mean, there's, when we went to Florida, one set of grandparents got him for about a week and the other set of grandparents got him for a week. So that was a nice 2-week period where they got to get a break from us and we got to get a little break from them.
Also, when we meet up with friends on the road, other RVers or overlanders, their kids will do, like our kids will go do a sleepover with them kind of deal to free us up and vice versa. So that's another thing that you can do is coordinate with other families and or people that want to hang out with your kids.
Like when we went to the Rigs and Coffee at ARTEMIS, that was, I think it was the first week of May. Aaron's wife invited the girls over for a sleepover with their daughter, and they went over there, and we had a kid-free night, so semi-kid-free night.
Semi-kid-free night, yeah.
So,
things happen, and you find ways, and
yeah,
we actually like being around our kids.
Well, that's
most
good.
Of the time.
That's the thing. You kind of notice too when you're doing this and one of the reasons why we started RVing was, like I said, more time with family. Where, when you have a big house and everybody has their work schedule and the kids have their sports schedules and these things, even though you're together, you're not really together because everybody's going every which way. And especially a house being as big as they are now, most people have pretty sizable homes. Everybody kind of splits off into their own zones.
Yeah.
And you only see each other during meals or in passing either way. So when you're doing this, you don't really have that opportunity to just bypass each other or avoid each other by going into your zone because there's nowhere for you to go. So you're kind of forced to, in a way, spend more time with each other, which, that can create its own problems if you're around each other too much, and that's just normal. But I think the thing that you get out of it is that you just genuinely spend more time with each other, and you wind up having more conversations and have more understanding with each other, and who your sibling is and who your dad or your mom is and who you are. You learn who you are as well.
Yeah.
So, which is important because I think that with all of our crazy schedules now and, everybody coming and going and social media and all these distractions, some people forget or never learn who they are anymore as a person.
Yeah. It's almost like taking a step back in time. You're removing away a lot of the distractions that we've created ourselves with technology. Like you said earlier, you never turn a TV on. You don't have any TV whatsoever. No. Even when you're in a hotel, you don't turn it on. You've remove those distractions that actually come between you and your family or your kids. So when you're out, do you plan things, family events? Do you plan hikes, fishing, waterfalls? Do you purposely plan things like that to try to get together and get out and do things together?
So we do some planning, but most of it is really off the cuff because and just from being in the military and in operations, I always had a saying with my team, the first rule to a plan is there is no plan, because you can plan all you want, but there's going to be things that you can't account for, things that will fail, gear, whatever.
Emergency surgery.
It's never going to work the way you wanted it to work. So, we plan as far as, hey, we're going to be kind of in this region, in this area, and these are maybe some interesting spots we want to hit while we're there.
Right.
And then we'll kind of do it that way. And then what happens from there is the way it happens. But generally, we'll plan hikes and fishing things or
national park visits.
We'll take them to museums. Yeah. Because that's part of their schooling too. And the way we work it is, rather than just learning through a book or a video, hey, let's go to the museum.
Life experience.
Let's learn it by handling it or actually seeing it or talking to somebody that lives in that area and that's from that area. And we just had that in that state park. In the what's his name? The Chief Coos.
Yeah, I saw that.
Native American working there, and I talked to him for 2 hours.
You talked to him for about 3 hours
because it was just a wealth of information. I find it just so fascinating to learn from the people that live there, and that's their way of life versus even just reading the things in the museum. He's standing right there. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that's I remember being back in school. Think about how excited you got when you just got to go on a field trip.
Oh yeah.
And we got to do that I don't know, a few times a school year.
Maybe twice.
They get that almost every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm kind of envious of it. And it's one of those things that I think they won't appreciate till later in life, obviously, just because
That's true.
They don't have
That's
that
true.
context and perspective that we do.
Yeah.
So, but as time goes on for them and they look back, that's something that they'll realize and understand.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's something that they'll definitely realize here shortly. Now we've talked about your rigs. We've talked about kind of how you do this lifestyle, and I want to continue to talk about where you've been, where you're going, and the plans that you have made. But first, I want to take and hear a word from one of our sponsors. More Expo is an expo April the 8th through the 10th, 2022. If you've never been there, here's a little glimpse of what it looks like. That was 2021. It was Snowpocalypse 2021 in February of this year. It snowed like, I believe, 17 inches in Springfield when we were there. Got down to in the negative degrees. We actually were snowed in for about 5 days while we were there. And Aaron from ARTEMIS put us up in his basement, and we just camped out with him for a few days so we could get home. But we have moved that to April 8th through the 10th of 2022. We're excited. If y'all are back this way, we would love to have you. We have all kinds of people that come in there and show their rigs off, and I guarantee you, I know somebody. I could get you a spot in there. That'd be pretty cool.
Looks like something we'd really enjoy.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it's like 100,000 square feet with over 115, 120 vendors that come in from all over the United States. The biggest expo in the Midwest. You can go to West, you can go to East. It's the only thing that's anywhere near this area. And Chris has done an amazing job putting that together. This was the second year. And even with 17 inches of snow on the ground, people just poured in from everywhere. And it was an amazing, amazing event. And next year it's going to be a multi-day event, Thursday through Sunday. And it's just a super cool time. And we would love to have y'all if y'all in the area. More Expo is what it's called. More Expo is where it's at. April 8th through the 10th, 2022. Now, getting back to what we were talking about, where you were at and how you were traveling, Kara had another question about traveling in weather. What do you do about pop-up storms?
So that's another great question. We recently just had an incident with that where we had really high winds that we were camping on this beautiful canyon and gorge, and the first 2 days was perfectly fine. And probably about 9 o'clock at night, the winds just really whipped up. So mainly you mitigate as best you can. We kind of look at the terrain and where we're going to place things, limit your exposure to high winds and different things like that, monitor the weather.
Do you find yourself looking at the weather a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because, especially in certain places, the weather can change very quickly. So it's just something you got to consider. But that also leads back to what I was saying. You have to have all kinds of gear, your all weather gear all the time, because, you may be camping at low altitude and the next week you're, at 9,000 feet, so you're going to go from very warm to very cold. And, that just created its own logistics for us challenges because, like I said, we have 5. So that's a lot of clothes and things. So you find.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I find myself, if I go to a warm weather climate, like to the beach, I could pack everything into a bag about this big. But you
Mhm.
go up north and you add one jacket and it triples the amount of space. So you have to prepare for everything.
But that gets back to the hiking thing because, hiking has a lot of parallels with overlanding where everything's volume and ounces. So everything's weight and size and volume. So look for things that are collapsible, multi-purpose.
Yeah.
That's another good thing you can do. And
we taught our kids how to roll their clothes like we learned in the military.
So the way you put things and stuff, it saves a lot of space. So it's just you find different ways to cheat and to gain that advantage. But you definitely have, when you're doing it full time versus just trips to certain regions or for limited periods of time, weather is definitely a challenge. Rain.
We've camped in snow, hail.
Yeah, we've been in hail and high winds, snow.
Kansas in the summer.
What was it? 9 degrees was our coldest?
9 degrees, yeah.
9 degrees was the coldest we've been in so far. So.
Wow. That's awesome. Do you navigate toward cooler temperatures in the summer and warmer in the winter? Is that kind of how you plan things, or does that play a role at all?
We tried, but now there's a heat wave out west here. So
you told me you were in Idaho and it was hot there, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And we're planning on going to Oregon to meet up with some friends, and it's already over 100 in a lot of areas in Oregon.
I've got a friend. She's on Instagram, Love for FJ. She lives full time out of her FJ Cruiser. And she has said it's hotter in the Pacific Northwest than she can ever remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, I said, you picked a perfect time to start living out of your car.
Yeah, Oregon and Washington are really getting it now. And we're picking up some friends in Oregon. They're flying there from Florida, and we're going to do some overlanding with them. They're going to tag along with us and do some hiking. So hopefully it'll cool down by the time that happens, at least a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. I
want them to remain my friends. I told them this would be fun.
It's hot in Florida though, so they should be okay.
Yeah, I've got a real good friend out in West Virginia, and he has a place out there called Autotronics, and I've been out there for him to do a bunch of wiring on my vehicle, and he's fell in love with this lifestyle, and he's trying to wean his wife into it just a little bit at a time. And he wants the first time she goes out to be perfect. Otherwise, he said, she'll never want to go again. And I said, finding that perfect time is really, really hard. There's always something.
You got to be lucky, right?
Always something,
It's funny you say that. We met a couple when we were down in the Keys. They were in their large rig next to us. And they're from Georgia, and they're sweet, sweet elderly couple. And they were talking about, he had bought a rooftop tent for his Jeep, and he put it on there. And then his wife and he watched some movie about a bear attacking some guy in a tent, and now she refused to.
He said, I never should have showed her that movie. She was all for it.
No.
But it was great. He was over checking out our build and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I kind of walked her back a little bit, so I think it worked out well for all. It was a great conversation, and we met some new friends, and we got to show her that it is fun, and give it a shot.
Oh man, it was 4 years ago. I think it was 4 years ago. My wife's son graduated from the Marine Corps Academy in San Diego. My wife had never flown on a plane, and right before we went, we watched Snakes on a Plane. And she was like, "Why'd you do this to me? I'm not getting on that plane. I'm not getting on that plane. You can't believe you did this." So it was horrible timing on my part. It was meant to be a joke, but she took it way too seriously, and I paid dearly for it. I promise you.
And heavens forbid. I mean, there has been instances where there has been a snake on the plane.
Yeah.
So.
Don't say that. Don't say that. It's never happened, Connie. It's never happened. It's never happened. Yeah, and a bear has never attacked the tent. I promise. So, my wife is one of those that believes every bear was created to eat her. And so every time she sees one, that's why I have a light bar on the back of my vehicle. She calls it her Sasquatch light, because when we go out at night, she wants to make sure nothing's following us.
Yeah.
Sasquatches and bears, they're always back there. I tell her they're back there every night.
I tell you, I had that incident. I did my first 14er a couple of years ago in Colorado in a town called Salida. and it was Mount Chavano, and I had to leave, about four in the morning, because you have to get up there and summit and then get back down below the tree line before the storms can come in the afternoon. So the first part of it's dark. I had never really done that before, so I had my headlamp, but you kind of have that feeling there's something out there, and you hear something every now and then. So I'd turn back and with the lights to see if I could see the glare in the eyes, kind of deal, because the mountain lions and different things.
Yeah.
So, I get it. It's harrowing sometimes.
Part of me is like, do I turn the light on? Because if something's there, I don't know if I want to see it or not.
Well, we were in this one spot actually, because a lot of the places we go is Bureau of Land Management. So there's a lot of cattle and different things. So we were in this spot, and it was late at night, pitch black, and there was something big coming through the woods.
Yes.
And she goes, "What is that? A bear?" And I said, "I don't think it's bigger than a bear. Like I don't know what it would be that's bigger than a bear, but yeah." And it wound up being a herd of cows.
Wow.
They just walked into our camp, and we're all around the tent, and they were stumbling over the rocks and the branches. And, so it's kind of funny.
What has been your worst experience out there that's made you question doing this?
Question your life choices?
Yeah. It happens to all of us. Do you remember a time?
I would say, when you're stuck, when you're really stuck really bad, you're all by yourself, and
that's a horrible experience. Or having a flat.
That's a bad one. Or, recently like I said, I just did this hike across a lava field up into a caldera. It's 10 miles in, 10 miles back. And, the last 2 or 3 miles was just brutal. And you question why you're out here doing this. And, so hiking, getting stuck, weather, the nights on the bad weather,
mosquitoes.
Oh, yeah.
And they're really bad.
We've been some places where if you're not
bugs.
by a certain time, it's all over for you.
Bugs are probably my most hated thing in this whole world.
Yeah, you're just miserable.
I've watched the people that have went up into Alaska and having to wear the bug nets every time they get out of the car, and that don't look fun to me. I mean, that don't look fun at all. I don't know why you're there. There's no amount of off that can keep that many bugs there. And why would you want to go there? But it's and they're only in certain places. I understand that. But bugs are not my thing. One thing that really makes me fearful, I guess, is breaking down, engine trouble. Like for those of us who don't, I guess it would be different for me than it is for you, because if I go to Colorado and want to go out in the trails and do the trails, I've got to drive 1,200 miles before I even get there. And so while I'm there, the whole time I'm very nervous, thinking I've got to drive this thing home. So, I've got to be very careful. I don't want to break something. I don't want to do this. I don't want to break down. So is that ever something that you think about? Being out in the middle of nowhere and hearing a noise, or I saw you posted something today. Always check your vehicle.
Yes.
I don't even know when it happened, kind of thing. So, but you notice things sitting around. I'm always around the vehicle a lot, so it's
he's really good about checking everything.
It's definitely something that's always on our mind, because it's still our primary mode of transportation too, even though it's not like it is our daily driver really. Yeah. But that's one of the things that I really liked about the addition of the Land Cruiser, was just having that second vehicle for if you're stuck or a mechanical failure, or, it beats walking. Because some places, you could be a couple of days walk.
Well, we were going to gradually ease into overlanding from RVing until we were in Memphis last year on the 4th of July, the 3rd of July, actually. And someone backed into our RV, our motorhome, at a gas station.
Well, a semi-truck then.
Yeah, a semi-truck, I should say that. Backed into
you're going to do it right.
Yeah.
Destroyed it. Wow. So we kind of had to expedite that process a bit and get our.
So it's one of those things where we were on the fence, but because of the challenges and logistics of overlanding versus RVing and a family of 5, it was another thing where, well, how do you do that? How is that going to work? And, all this stuff. And I was at a Love's travel station we had a Super C at the time. So I was at the semi refueling island, and there was a car carrier in front of me. And it was a busy day there. I guess another spot opened up. He wanted to back up and get over there. He didn't know I was behind him for some reason. And my rig was 30,000 pounds, and he pushed me 5 feet before he stopped. So, and he just ripped off the whole front of it. And so it kind of made that transition easier for us in a way, because we kind of had to move into it. Because it was going to be a while before, with insurance and going through the trucking's insurance and that battle and who's going to pay for what. And, we just said, well, this is a perfect time to we have what we need to start overlanding. So let's roll on into that.
And as you saw in our first YouTube video that we put out last Friday, we got stuck in the Ozarks pretty bad. And we got ourselves unstuck, but it took us 5 hours, and then we couldn't go back the way we came. So we started trying to go down the other way on the trail to try to get out. And it was night by then. And there was a tree that had fallen across it. And we didn't have a huge tree. We didn't have anything to move it. And we couldn't even put out our tent because the trail was so narrow. So we marked our GPS location, left the note on the Jeep, and walked back out to the main dirt road to try to find someone that could help us, because we were 20 miles from any paved road. And luckily,
I had heard an ATV. And I said, let's go ahead out there while we can, see if he can help us out, whoever it is. And I said, you guys are coming with me, because we were all muddy. We'd been out there 5 hours getting unstuck. I said, if I show up, they're never going to help me. They're going to look at me and they're going to flee. So I said, if you guys come with the kids, they'll be more likely to help us. But luckily, he was just getting the ATV on the trailer, and I could see the look on his girlfriend's face was like, hurry up and get that thing on the trailer. But they got us out of there, and they were all local and firefighters. So they hunt in the area, and they said, but it wound up being a landslide area. Nobody takes vehicles there anymore. And not being from there, I didn't know that. So but he said getting unstuck and getting through it is, he said you should hang your head high.
No kidding. Kara has another question, and this is probably the number one question for full-time overlanders that people ask all the time. How do you afford it? What do you do? What's your best advice about debt and getting it paid off? That's probably the number one question that we have on the show for people who are doing this full-time. Because it's a goal of a lot of people to do it full time. But and I know that you're probably in a different position than a lot of people are, because you are actually retired. So you actually do draw a government check. But for people that are not old enough to retire, Carrie, you're not old enough to retire. You're still young. So if you still have to work, what do you advise about debt, about having everything paid off before you make this decision to go full time?
He has outstanding questions, by the way. Thank you for the questions. It's great for everybody. But we do have our retirements from being in the service, so that helps tremendously off the bat for sure. But I would say for people that aren't in that situation, you really don't need a lot of money if you don't have a lot of stuff that you like, homes and different things, which is one of the reasons why we sold our homes, was so that we don't have that burden or that.
And it was a burden.
So the thing is, you just really have to minimize your life when it comes to stuff, which we do have stuff too, but we just use it every day. We use it for our experience and our travel, and that's the kind of stuff that we have. But with RVing especially, we found a lot of ways that people made money on the road. And one of the things that we came across was traveling nurses for people that are in nursing. A lot of hospitals hire temporary nurses they contract them for certain periods of time, and they move around doing that. We've found catastrophic insurance adjusters, and working through FEMA, where they go to different regions at different times of the year. Most of them only work about 6 months out of the year, if that. Guys that have big diesel trucks that pull their RVs that may not be necessarily overlanders, but they. I learned this from a retired truck driver we hung out with for a little while. Had great stories, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But he said, with your truck, he goes, you can go up to Indiana. They'll pay you $2,000-$3,000 to haul it to North Carolina. And also there's what we used to do was camp hosting in state parks. National parks have it. So you stay for free. And most of the places we stay now are free because it's all Bureau of Land Management or forestry. So that's another way that you can basically have a place to stay. You can camp host. Most places in Florida, at least, only made you do 20 hours a week. So, which is nothing. And it frees up the rest of your week to go do what you want to do.
Cooking at camp. I mean, there's a lot of ways to save money. And
and like I said, once you get into it and you want to do it full time, and if you don't have a lot of debt, it really doesn't take a lot of money. It's unbelievable how little money. I mean, really now gas is going to be your biggest, in food, maybe your biggest expenses.
Yeah.
Because you're not paying a mortgage, you're not paying insurance, you're not paying property taxes, you're not paying electric and utilities, and and that's kind of the things that, to me, that's the kind of things that prevent it more than anything else. It's just the need for money for stuff and for a lifestyle. So, and like I said, it's not that anyone's wrong or one's right. It's just what you want.
Yeah.
Right.
It comes down to what's right for you. And, that's just the main thing that I would stress is that there's no right or wrong way necessarily to do what's best for you in your life. It's just what works for you and what you want. And
we remain fluid as well. This isn't necessarily something we're going to do forever. It works for us right now, but I was having a conversation with our older daughter the other day, and she expressed interest in going to a regular high school when she gets to that age. She wants to have that experience. And so, I told her that we would definitely look at that, and we're taking some steps with her schooling and everything right now to make sure she's ready for that. But, I think that's one of the coolest things about this lifestyle is it is very fluid. And, maybe we want to stay somewhere for 6 months to a year. We rent an Airbnb, or we rent an apartment, or maybe we want to travel internationally, or maybe we want to settle down for a while. Those are all things that we can do. And if she wants to have that high school experience, we're going to find a way to give it to her. So, I really
there's really a lot of ways that you can make money on the road, and like I said, once you get to that one point of committing to it, limiting your stuff and where you need to put money into, it's very inexpensive to do because, like I said, you're everywhere you're staying is free. Your power is free. It's solar. We fill up either when we're at a hotel or a water. We do it when we're in a hotel, or we go to the little water and ice station things. So everything's just very easy and inexpensive once you figure it out, kind of deal.
Yeah. Well, I've heard of people that have went and joined like a gym like Planet Fitness for 30 days, pay $20 for and then you get to work out, you get showers, you get a whole bunch of stuff like that. So there's a lot of different tips and tricks that you can do like that. So Kara asked if you have pets. Yeah, they have a dog and it hates men. I do know that.
He finally likes that. He's awesome. He's such a good travel dog. I mean, we couldn't ask for a better travel dog. He just lays there and chills while we're driving around, and bumpy roads don't bother him. He's thoroughly enjoying that, I think.
What's your balance between off-road and camping versus staying in hotels? How often do you try to
I
find
would
a
say
hotel?
the hotels maybe on average once a week.
Yeah.
Once a week. Okay.
We'll do a hotel.
Yeah, that's a kind of our little compromise with the kids too. You know, they get that time to chill in a hotel room, and we'll order, you know, pizza or something, and you know, maybe watch a movie together or something, and kind of give them a little break from camping. And we take showers and stuff out, you know, when we're camping too. But it's nice to get a regular hot shower.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, I'm not an affiliate with hotels.com, but we've been doing that. And so every 10th stay, you get, you know, it's like a certain amount up to that you can stay for free. And this room, the guy told me was going to be about $350, and it ended up costing us $95. So because of that. So, I mean, you can find different ways to, you know, the different reward programs to kind of save money on hotels and things, or you can stay at a campground and get showers there.
Yeah.
Regular, you know, RV park or stuff.
Laundry.
That's cool.
Like that. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, tell me, and this is for me to know, because this is what I always want to know. What is your favorite place you've ever been?
Oof. What if we haven't been there yet?
I would say
so far, up to this point. Your favorite camping spot you've ever had?
A camping spot?
Yeah. What's your favorite camping spot?
Yeah. I mean, I know what mine is.
Well, go ahead. Well,
Flaming Gorge.
Where?
Flaming
yeah,
Gorge.
there's a place called Flaming Gorge, Wyoming.
Flaming
And
Gorge, Wyoming.
This is a prime example of the first rule of plan is there is no plan. Is we left Dinosaur and we stopped to get gas before we headed out into this remote area, and the clerk was, you know, started talking to us about our rig, and he said, "Have you guys been to Flaming Gorge?" And I said, "No, I've never even heard of it." He said, "Oh, you have to go there. It's amazing. You know, you guys look like you'd really enjoy it." So we rerouted to the Flaming Gorge, and which wound up being only a few hours from there, right?
It was not even.
Yeah.
It was.
And so we meandered down to this big lake area, camped right along the water, and we were only planning on staying a day just so we could see it. And we liked it so much, we wound up staying 3 days, and it worked out perfect because we were able to get in the water. It was like 80 degrees that weekend.
Yeah.
Nobody was around the entire time, and the next weekend it was snowing there. So,
wow.
So it was just like, it's just one of them things you happen chance upon, and that's really what most of it is you just start talking to people, and they really tell you where to go more than we decide.
Yeah, that's true. The locals know a lot. And they know a lot more than you can find on the internet too. So they're very helpful in things like that. Do you find yourself moving around a lot, or do you stay in one place for several days? What's your norm for camping?
So if it depends if we're kind of like trying to get somewhere kind of deal. If we're not trying to do that, usually 2 to 3 days is the most we'll sit, because, you know, we'll kind of do what we can hiking wise and different things in that area. And then after that, it's kind of like you get the itch again, where, you know, you want to go on to the next thing and what's around the corner. And, you know, so it's kind of, it's nice to sit for a few days, for sure. But usually not more than that.
Yeah. Well, you definitely, I see these people who unpack and pack and unpack and pack and unpack and pack. And I'm like, good Lord, you know, if you stay there an extra day, if you stay in one place for 2 days, your unpacking and packing cuts in half. So, you know, why not just stay an extra day? You know, if you're out, and this is my mind, you don't have a schedule. Why are you in such a rush to get anywhere?
That's a conversation we have a lot, actually, is, you know, for instance, we just went through Yellowstone, and it's not just about that story about Yellowstone, but I'll get to that in a second. But I think in general, people are just conditioned and so used to they're so focused on where they're going that they're never
it's
present.
The destination, not the journey. Yeah,
right, exactly. They're never present with where they are and take it in and enjoy where they are at the moment, because they're just so focused on, you know, what's next.
Yeah.
But which kind of brings me into the Yellowstone thing, where, I mean, they had never been there before, so it was one of the things I wanted them to see. And we got there, and it was like Disney World pandemonium. It was so busy, so many people, and I think when we did the Old Faithful thing, you know, I wanted to make sure they saw that. But it was, I guess, being when you get back into the backcountry for so long and so much, and you're just so used to the solitude and the lack of hustle and bustle and lines and traffic. And, you know, she even made a comment to me the other day where it was like, I'm getting to the point where I can't even handle it anymore.
I can't deal with all of this.
You lose those coping mechanisms, you know?
Yeah, there was a lot of people there that day.
Yeah. It made it to where it was enjoyable, you know?
I understand. I'm the same way. You know, when a lot of people say, well, I want to go to Disney World, I say, well, that's where all evil men go when they die. Because I hate that place. You know, I've been to Yellowstone one time, and that was last year, and it was in February. And I would highly recommend that because you can do all of Yellowstone on a snowmobile, and there's hardly anybody there. Get you a suit, get you a snowmobile. You can go up into the mountains. There's a cheeseburger place that you can only get there by snowmobile. It's really cool. Nice. So if you want to do Yellowstone and not go with the crowds, go in February. It's amazing.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, so, she said next time we come here, we're either coming the first week they open or the last week they're open.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, hey, we're getting down to the end of this. Gosh, so much good information. I truly appreciate y'all coming on here. I want to say thank you to all my sponsors who have making this show possible. Casey with Action Trax, Chris with More Expo, ARTEMIS, Lensun for all your solar needs. And this will be on the Overland Philosopher podcast after I download it tomorrow. And it will also be up on the Overland Philosopher and Adventure Radio, both of their Facebook pages and on the YouTube channel. Joe, Misty, thank you so much for being with us and opening up your lives to us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
Well, hey, go ahead.
I was just going to say to Kara, I saw that she was looking forward to doing it full time at some point, and wish her luck with that. And if she ever has any questions or anything, she's always welcome to hit us up with questions. Definitely. And we'll help her out with that.
I guarantee they will. And she would be a prime candidate for Lady Overlander Radio. She is. She travels a lot with her husband. They go out quite a bit, and she would be a prime candidate and great to talk to. And she loves to talk. To talk. Oh. Hey, I'm the Brofessor, and these are my friends. We appreciate you. We hope you all have a great week. Leave it better than you found it. Get out there and enjoy the outdoors while you still have time. Everybody, take care.